All right, and welcome to Zoomvivor Deep Dive, a CNC podcast. Today, I actually have two co-hosts who are together right now. We have Collin and Michael from Z3. How you guys doing today?
Hey, good, great. We're doing good.
Yeah.
So, do you guys want to let the audience into what's been going on in your lives? Have you guys been playing games? Obviously you guys are still together, so yeah, give us a little insider.
We're living in quarantined America. I mean, we're both getting vaccinated. We both had our first shot.
Nothing much going on. Just vaccinations, playing video games, working. Same shit, new day. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I completely get that. And you guys have not even started applying for any other games? You want to apply for any other games?
I do want to. This season really is making me want to play again. Whether that be Zoomvivor again or another org, I would really like to do that.
Yeah, I think after I needed to take a nice break from Zoom Survivor just because it was a lot in one weekend. But now watching this, I'm like itching to play again. So I haven't considered any other orgs. I didn't play anything before Zoom Survivor. I haven't played anything after, but I do want to get into it. Just with work and life, it does get a little tough, but we'll see.
All right. Well, let's just get into it. The big headline for today is Sherry is gone. She is the first person booted from the merge, and she's not even a fucking jury member.
I hate that.
So we were we were so excited when we watched it. We were like, oh my gosh, whoever this first boot is the mayor of Ponderosa. Michael can talk about that. And then we find out that Sherry's not the fucking mayor of Ponderosa. And I think she should have been, because that would have been chaos. Yeah. I think she would have set a crazy jury tone. So I think there was a missed opportunity there.
I think it was an unnecessary twist, honestly, but
ooh.
Interesting.
That's his word. Mine. James, that's not mine.
I mean, look, someone else said it, so I'll chime in a little bit too, but I'm not a fan of that twist either. I don't like it in Survivor. If you make it to the merge, that's an achievement. You should be rewarded by being a jury member.
It's like Corinne and Caramelin. Like Corinne should have been on the jury, and for some reason it was a twist where they merged, but the first boot wasn't on the jury. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I mean, sometimes you gotta play the twists to know what really works, and to different audiences and with different players. But yes, you're exactly right. Sherry would have set a crazy tone for the jury.
Mm-hmm.
She was wild. She was
Sherry.
I say like 100% without a doubt, Sherry was a villain.
Oh yeah, likable,
but a lovable villain.
Yeah,
like yes, she was chaos and did the whole like back into a corner, I'm gonna claws out, attack someone approach, which I never think really works, but I mean it happens. But you never were like, oh my god, shut up. You were like, ooh, keep going. Like I almost wanted her to go crazier a little bit. I feel like she held back a little bit, but I mean I think she was gonna go home no matter what. So I wish she just kind of went into full like annihilation mode.
Yeah, and I think with her too, she I mean her claws definitely came out. I think initially I was still expecting something much bigger, but compared to what everything has been leading up to at this point, that's been the biggest explosion. This has been the most dramatic thing that's happened. Right. And it's also, I find it really funny that leading up to that tribal council, you had Kostas in his confessional who, was kind of talking big, but the second he was confronted, he like cowered.
Right. Which when we were watching that episode, I said that it's just like Kostas twice now has in a confessional I don't really get where he's coming from. He was like really upset that Erica didn't talk to him. So he was like gung-ho on getting her out. And then now what he was saying about Sherry this episode, I don't know, rubbed me the wrong way, honestly. It didn't really make sense.
Yeah. I mean, I find that this is a missed opportunity for Dakota to make a big move because Sherry wanted that idol. He clearly didn't want to give it up. But if they could have come up with a brilliant plan where Sherry was going to go full annihilation mode, get all the attention on her, then he could have played that idol and then they could have gotten someone better out. I think it was a missed opportunity. I know you don't want to like burn that idol right away, but now's the time to start making moves. So might as well start doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the exact point to start making
Right.
moves. And with with the whole idol, I mean, I get it. He's kind of being a little selfish, which is there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Hey, if you you should never tell anyone you have it, because then you get into these situations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also with him and Sherry, I mean, they obviously had a pre-existing relationship, and I think I don't know for certain because it's all interpretable, but I think it really probably hurt their games, especially Sherry's, or maybe it actually helped Sherry's to get her to this point. But Sherry's very experienced in the OR community. She's no fool. But yeah, I think because their pre-existing relationship, they felt as if they had to team up, and look where it led them.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate Sherry's self-awareness. Like in this episode, you heard her say, like, I'm tired. I made a mistake, this, that, which is great.
I get it. It's a long night.
Yeah.
Actually, this was the if I remember correctly, this was the beginning of the second day.
I figured.
But you're mentally exhausted the second day. Like, you might not be physically tired, but the first day is just mentally draining. So the second day is like, you don't start fresh. You're like, you carry all that weight. And because I remember the second day, I mean, by the time I was voted out, I was kind of like, like you do kind of run out of, well, I ran out of steam, which is one of my faults, but like, you can't do that. And I feel like she ran out of steam.
Yeah. I mean, the beginning of the second day, I was the first boot. And that tribal, I felt like we never took a break. It felt like a continuation.
Because you would talk to, like, immediately as soon as filming was done, we were talking all night long with everybody. And then
talking before we started.
You get up in the morning because, I mean, obviously at that point, like the Filipino players, it was like
they've been up
6 a.m. So like they went to bed. Americans, boom, boom, boom. You got up early to talk to the Filipinos and you're like, hey, we got a game plan. And then, so yeah, it didn't end. It doesn't end.
Now, also, I mean, with, you mentioned that you were the boot for Merge a couple times now. It's funny. It never even dawned on me that until right before I left for work, like way earlier in the day, because I had finished the episode right before I went to work. And I thought to myself, holy crap, Michael's going to be on this podcast. And that was completely unintentional. So it was kind of interesting that worked out the way it did. Yeah. But also really quick, just speaking of Filipinos, we now see yet again the Filipinos massively outnumber the rest of the world, which at this point, they're all Americans, except for Costas. The rest of the world's been eliminated. You had Simon, you had 2 Latin Americans, Andres and Manu, they're gone. And I mean, based on what we saw last season, I mean, why aren't people getting rid of them?
Well, they have the numbers, so you kind of can't. I mean,
you do have opportunities though.
But
like
they do
last
have,
episode.
I mean, Dakota has that idol, so there's an opportunity to, shake some stuff up there. I'm sure there's going to be QR codes. I'm sure James is going to throw in some crazy twists, some new advantages. Right. I'm sure, but I mean, at this point, if you don't have any of that, you're just hoping, you're a sitting duck, and you just hope that you get picked out later in the game or you find a crack. But I mean, with season 4 there, I mean, it was like boom, 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 so we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely if they would have gotten rid of Brian last round and then used the idol, strategically this round, they could have literally evened the numbers up.
Right.
Filipinos versus rest of the world.
And we were talking about this earlier. It is interesting. Like in our season, like every like alliance, it was like mixed. It wasn't straight up Filipinos or straight up Americans. It was always mixed. And even in like the merge, it almost kind of was like American, then a Filipino, then an American. Then
I think that just went with our season's theme though. Like our theme was literally like, don't do that. So I think people were like, okay, let's not do that because, and like advantages encouraged, reaching out, because I know the advantage I got in the beginning, it only was active when I reached out to a Filipino player and told them about it. So
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so my idol, it wasn't shown. But so when I got my advantage, my idol only worked if I told a Filipino player about
How
it.
did you tell?
Emin. I told Emin about it.
Oh, I did not
And
know that.
but then I never needed it, and then we kind of were on different tribes, and we came back, and when I played it, he was there, and I don't know. It was like a whole mess, but it's not about me. But but real quick before we move on, there's something I do want to talk about. That's just Sherry's performance of the night, because first of all, I love that they just. I mean, coming from like an artistic standpoint, like the camera's facing up, so like that just alludes like, you know, since the angle is like facing up, that just alludes like power.
Yeah.
And always a cigarette, which is like fantastic. And then, but at one point she's like going hard, and like the cigarette smoke is like billowing in the camera, and she's just like yelling, and it's just her head from and just like the performance of it all, I was just like living for it, because it was such like an orchestrated thing. Like it was all chance, but I don't know, it belongs in a museum.
Yeah. I want to see her play again so bad. She is she's so entertaining.
I think if, and it comes to just being like an older player, like they have that stigma, unfortunately. But like, I think if she can control, I think like the sassiness and just like the comments a little bit, I think she can go farther, because I know like, I mean, the challenge they did, her name came up constantly with like very negative things. I wrote some stuff down here. Let me see. Oops. Let's see, like who's running the game, like who doesn't shut up. It was supposed to, the true answer was Erica, but you know, a lot of people put down Sherry's name. Doesn't deserve to be here, Sherry. Entitled, Sherry. So like, I mean, so people had a perception of her. So I mean, you just have to control that perception of yourself, which is really hard to do.
With all of those things in mind, why target her? Like, if she's just like abrasive personality that no one seems to really like
because everyone
vibe with, like, why wouldn't you want to bring her along to the end?
Because everyone has that right now, because when it was, hey, this person is not on jury, everyone goes into the anybody but me. You know what I mean?
True.
They're not thinking moves, they're not thinking strategy. They just, I want to be on the jury, or I need to get to this point, so anyone but me.
Right.
And so I mean, it's when something like that twist is in play, like I think it changes it puts panic in, so you change your style.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And I mean, I think actually that's a good part of it. I mean, but also, Michael, you and I sometimes can be a rare breed when we do think like that, where it's like, why not keep her around, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows? I feel like, especially to the viewer, she was very villainous, but to the rest of the game, I don't think they saw her as villainous. Yeah, they might have seen her as maybe not the most likable personality, but then again, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Sherry was very interesting. Yeah. Ultimately, that's just...
Well, I mean, the edits that Dakota and Sherry are getting are villainous, because they're like, oh, we'll take out our ally to bring in this person, and then we'll take them out. And so it just makes them seem unloyal. And I mean, like, Dakota here is like, oh, Erica's my ride or die, but I'm gonna write her name down. And it's like, what are you doing? Yeah. And again, this is a critique on his gameplay, not his personality, because I don't want people to think that I'm coming after their personality. This is just your gameplay. So what I've seen so far is that there's no loyalty there. And yes, this is a selfish game. And yes, you're on your own in the end of the day. But if you load the jury up with people you stab in the back, they're not going to vote for you in the end of the day. And right now, so the only person he stayed loyal to thus far is Sherry, who is now gone. So he, like, I don't understand his motives right now. Yeah. There's no one he's loyal to. I mean, I don't know if anyone has figured that out, but as of right now, as it stands, he has no one he hasn't stabbed in the back.
And I will say this in his defense, or not defense, but he somehow is managing to not have any threat on him.
Which is good, though.
Like, in that immunity challenge, if I'm not mistaken, he was the very last person to be called on to smack an egg on his head. It just so happened the first egg he did was the raw egg, which got it.
Now, I will say, and I could actually be wrong with this, but I think there was actually more to that challenge than what we saw.
Okay, good point. Good point.
Because the way that I remember it going down was oh my God, like every real answer is fucking Sherry, and like she is just getting trashed.
Yeah, which
I mean, I can look at my like production notes really quick. I might be right with that.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the answers to the questions. I'm talking about when people get the answers right, giving a
Yeah.
name to, like, if that edit is even somewhat close to reality, no one said his name. So he was literally one of the last people to even smack the first egg on his head. And like I said, it was the raw egg, so he got eliminated. But on top of that, no one was throwing out his name for this vote either. And like, he's, in a sense, he is a very perceptive player, and Sherry too, I guess. But I mean, if you read my comments on these episodes, what the Kira vote out and the Manu vote out boggle my mind and frustrate me so much. It is the most illogical thing I have seen on the show, maybe. And guess what? Now Dakota's by himself, so we'll see where it goes. It either destroyed his game like I thought it would, or he's a free agent that'll get him to the end. But I don't know.
But it has to be. I mean, we also have to make the comment that he is a big topic of conversation, which I also think means you're an interesting player. Which means,
True.
Again, that doesn't necessarily mean good or bad. But I think the fact that we're investing time to mention him on an episode that is such Sherry focused, I think can't be ignored. I mean, he is a big part of the game, whether he's running it or, you know what I mean? Like he is a big factor, which is good right now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And I think part of that is that you can't necessarily mention one without mentioning the other. I guarantee next episode, regardless of what happens, we'll still be mentioning Sherry if we're talking about Dakota.
Sure. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Some quotes I think I wrote down of Sherry's that I would just I just love her exit speech where she just said "fuck you." She was like, "I'm not mad, but fuck you."
Yeah, fuck you, Brian.
Yeah, she's like, "Fuck you, Brian. I covered your ass." I was like, "So we're not mad, I see." No, but I mean, I don't think she truly meant it. I mean, because as Americans, we have dirty mouths, so I don't think she meant it as like a salacious "fuck you." I think it was more of just like a "fuck y'all," like you know how it is, like a playful "fuck you."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can tell right after she's revealed as the boot, she actually like you can instantly tell. It looks like her mind switched out of game mode, and she was just like, "All right, oh wait, but I got to be entertaining, so fuck you guys."
Yeah,
and
like
that, I'm out.
Yeah, so I just love that. Some other quotes from Kenneth. Work that magic, honey. I love that.
Kenneth's so funny.
Oh my gosh, so funny. But also the rain dig, I did not appreciate Kenneth.
I loved it. I thought it was so funny.
Don't come for Rain. That's my girl. Don't come for her.
Ken, you're fine. You're perfectly fine. I love it.
Rain is queen. Back the fuck.
Not with these queens. Not with these queens.
Rain, we love you.
I actually wrote that down. Like, I thought that was such a good quote about the old women winners.
Okay, but old?
I mean, clearly it's a joke. Sherry is like 20 years older than Rain.
He's just reading her. It's typical. He's just being shady. He's just throwing shade. It's fine. But like, watch what you're doing.
I mean, we talked about it on the podcast a few episodes ago, but I mean, there are really this season, there are very few duds at this point, or really in the whole season in general. But most of these characters, or these, I shouldn't say characters, most of these castaways are falling into the character or player realm. And Kenneth, really, we haven't seen anything gameplay wise, but we've seen character 100%.
Right. And the next like Zoomvivor superstar should not be a lazy bitch, and none of them are. So I'm happy with that. You know what I mean? Like no one should just be sitting around like, you know, twiddling their thumbs, riding coattails, which I think has happened in the past. Not a dig at anyone's games, but like I think that's also happened. But I think everyone is very calculated in their moves, and it's great to see. And also I think like with the new editing style, because I have to give praise to the editors and people who put this together. So you guys have done a great job this season, and it's just really entertaining. All seasons are entertaining, but I think the editing style here is just much more refined, which is great. There's like tribe life, which I wish we got to see from other seasons. So it's kudos to you guys because it's really amazing. So I think that also helps enhance the characters' stories too. Because I think, there's a lot, I think, from our game and probably from your game that there's a lot we didn't see that I wish that might have, swayed people's opinions about some of the players.
Yeah. Now, also, I want to, speaking of all that, it actually drew me to a note that I wrote down about the like sound motif, which is obviously something that the editor is putting in, that chime. That chime that reveals information. Now, sometimes I hear the chime and I'm like, why was that there? And then other times I'm like, oh, that was very, very, very revealing. So one of the things that I put in about, when the editors put in, Erica got chimed when they mentioned her being a social threat, or I don't know if they necessarily said she was a social threat, but they mentioned social threats. Now, I don't actually get the vibe that Erica is actually a social threat at all. Because half the cast, especially as of right now, doesn't really care for her and doesn't really want to work with her. And if given the chance, 2 tribals before, they would have voted her ass out in a second. And people, I'll just say this and I'll let you speak.
We're like,
I think that in the reality of social threats, the 2 social threats that I read are Kostas and Dakota. And it goes back to what you said earlier about Dakota is a villain, but everyone wants to work with them. No one's even throwing his name out. That goes down to a social game,
Yeah. I think with Erica, who I love, by the way.
She's great.
Yeah, she is amazing. I think she is really good with conversations, and it maybe isn't necessarily game related, but I think especially maybe some of the Filipinos see like, oh, she's really good with talking and all that. I'm not necessarily like vibing with her, but other people might, and I don't like that. So I think it's not necessarily like they're necessarily threatened with it, but they think others might be.
I think some people might get or confuse social threat with just they're the loudest person on the public chat.
That could be.
Because I think that also like they always have a comment or they're making everyone laugh. They might not be talking to people one-on-one, but if they're making the masses laugh, like people could be like, oh, they might have people in their pocket, which might not be the case, but it could be perceived the case. So I think people might get confused with social threat for the person who's just always talking to the group, which I think you need to do that, but you can't be the one that talks the most.
Yeah.
Well, see, with her, I get the feeling that in real life, Erica is a social butterfly.
Oh, for sure, probably.
And in addition to that, my interpretation is she is a social butterfly, but I don't think she's very socially aware.
I don't know.
I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that she's not aware.
Ooh.
No, like I'm saying, I think you're wrong, Casey.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm choking on wine.
Yeah, I don't know where you're getting that opinion from. I just don't think there's anything to suggest that.
Okay, I think it comes down to the subtle hints, especially a couple episodes ago where she's talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And we also saw that in the beginning of the game too, where you've got to read your audience. You have to read the social cues, and people weren't picking up on it.
Right. But I'm going to put myself in her place. If I'm an American and I get put onto a tribe with 3 Filipinos, my only chance at anything is to talk and talk and talk. And she did that. Even when in this merge episode, she said she's reaching out to everyone. It's literally all she had, especially after she heard her name. What else is she supposed to do?
But it's also how you reach out or what you say exactly. And so far, we have seen the Filipino people are not receptive of her. Now, granted, I might not have made it far in my season, but I did make some interesting, Filipino connections. I found that most of my connections were Filipino over Americans, people that you would think I would naturally relate to. I feel like I'm a little bit more socially adaptable. So
I understand that, but that's the only card she has to play. If she wasn't self-aware, she would be doing what she's doing, but she would think she has it in the bag, or she would think, oh, I'm good with Kat and whoever. But she's not saying that. She's just saying like, crap, I'm hearing my name. I'm going to do this. This is all she can do. So I think that's kind of unfair.
I mean, look, I'm not taking a dig at her personally.
No,
I'm taking a dig at her game. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to assess game.
Yeah, now, I know. I'm just disagreeing with you.
Okay. Well, I just want to say you're wrong. But
right.
but seriously though, I think another thing to indicate that maybe she isn't the most socially aware and that her social game really isn't her strong suit is that look at the vote. The vote was 641? 641. Who is the lone person that voted for Brian? Can you answer me that?
Erica.
Come on, why?
Like she's on the bottom. The girl's on the bottom. Give her some slack. I pull through, Erica. Fucking pull through. Yeah. I don't know. I think now, who knows? I mean, I don't know. I mean, she's. I don't know. She's great. Yeah. I've got no comment on that. You guys got it. I will say the one person another player I absolutely love, Kaneda. But also just watching her reactions during this tribal was fantastic. Just constant smiling, just loving every bit of it. Like, I'm fine. Look at all these people going nuts. Like, and that's what you want. You want those people to attack each other because then everyone else is like, oh, like, you know, because when you're attacked and you attack back, you might start saying stuff that triggers other people thinking like, oh, like we're not on the same wavelength or they're dangerous or the way they act when they're attacked. You're like, ooh, I don't want to work with that person. So she's fantastic. I love just watching her during tribal. That was just awesome. Oh, he's gone. Oh, he's gone.
I had to get up for a quick second. But also I had to get my my Zoomy board. But anyway, with her too, if you noticed when they were reading the votes, I mean, obviously she knew and she could see it. Her name was not coming up. I think if I remember correctly, she was like eating. It was just a little eat.
Yeah, just watching the show.
She had immunity. She didn't have to give it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but just
she had a night off.
Amazing. I just very fun watching her.
Oh yeah, it reminded me
enjoy the moment.
Yeah, it almost reminded me of Bads because like all season, Bads is just fucking chowing down on some fucking chips. Every episode, he's eating those chips.
Go for it. Eat it. Yeah. Come on, go for it.
I will say, Bads, he's someone that he was a villain. I was like, get him out. But I will say in the last episode or two, I'm starting to like him more and more.
I disagree. Bads, I've always liked you the whole time. You're great.
Well, it's not
Me too.
It's not that I dislike you as a person. You just seem like an alpha male who was hungry for the control.
I don't think so. I didn't get that from you. Keep doing it, honey. You're good. You're good.
It seemed like Bing.
Keep playing.
Bing did, and she saw that, and she was like, "I'm gonna hide behind him," which I love Bing too. But
Bing and Bads have been my favorites for a while.
Hide behind the targets. Don't stand next to them. If you're next to the target, you'll get hit. If you're behind the target, you don't get hit. I like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's not the only one to do it. We also saw Charlene had Bads clocked like really early on.
Charlene too.
What's that?
We love Charlene too.
We stand Charlene.
Awesome. I love her.
Yeah, all the players honestly that have made it, there's not a single person where I'm just like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Not that there has been in any of the other seasons, but just like I think everyone in their own right is doing really well, which is great.
Yeah.
And we're getting enough confessionals and from everyone where you know everybody and you like them all, which is good.
Right.
I think also with the merge cast in general, you really did. I hate to say it, but I kind of already said it in previous podcasts, but you did kind of already get rid of all the duds pre-merge.
Duds, that's me.
I'm sorry. It's kind of true.
But, no, it's not.
I mean, look, that's why I really wanted to have Kira and Ming and not exactly Danny, but I still wanted to have Danny on the Afterthoughts podcast because I wanted to talk to them. I wanted insight on their game, and I don't have any insight on their game. And so the best thing I can do is chalk Ming and Kira, but more specifically Kira, up to being a dud. Andres, I loved Andres. He was actually my favorite while we were actually recording early in the beginning. But I'm curious if he would have how good of a player he would have been, as well as how good of a character he would have been. Josh is a mystery to me. That guy needs to come back. I think he needs to be the number one person for a second chance, just because we need to see what he's actually capable of.
Josh and Brandon alike. I think they need to be up there. But I wouldn't, I mean, pre-merge, like if you get swap screwed, you're not a dud. You could be a fantastic player, but if you just get, fucked over with luck. I mean, yes, you could argue like a fantastic player would work their way out and worm their way out of that situation. But I mean, when you have 15 minutes and 3 people are like, we're safe, we'll just vote you out, and you have no advantage, there's nothing you can do. Like Ellis, I think Ellis is a great player, but unfortunately he was screwed and there was nothing he could have done. And I don't think he's a bad player because of it. I think he was just on the wrong side of the numbers. And I think I got lucky where every swap I was fine. And so I don't know.
I mean, but I'm not saying that though, because Manu was not a dud. I still say he was the first hero of this season, and he's the first star to be extinguished from this season.
He did so well playing from the bottom from the very beginning. From being on exile to then bouncing around. I wonder what would have happened if he just knew to play the advantage. I don't know if it would have helped him, but it could have.
Right.
Because he could have swapped to a different tribe that maybe wouldn't have lost, So I don't know. I mean, those are all crazy hypothetical.
Yeah. One thing that would have been really crazy is if that last episode that he got out on, if he and Brian came together, used Brian's advantage to nullify one of Dakota or Sherry's votes, and then got rid of them right there.
Right.
Can you imagine? I didn't even think about that until I think someone posted it in the comments, and I was like, damn, I did not think about that at all. Or maybe Manu said that to me. I can't remember.
No, Sherry actually said that to Manu in the comments.
Wow.
Okay, that's what it was. That would have been crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
But also, given the way that everything went down, why didn't Brian save it? He could have linked back up with Kostas, and they could have used both of their fracture idols to create a full immunity idol.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Brian wasted it. He just played it for no reason.
Hey, listen. You rather waste an advantage than go home with it in your pocket. I think that I'm a firm believer in that, but I honestly, their fracture idols, I think, yes, they're good together, but it only makes one. So you have to decide, but you do have, I don't know. I think in that situation, it's smart to use it. There's only 4 people. You can nullify one of them. So if it was a lock tie 2-on-2, you're fine and you don't go to rocks. So I think in that situation, I would have used it. I would have done the same thing as Brian. I would have done the same thing.
I honestly can't say what I would have done, but I would like to say I would not have done that. It only would have worked because you're wasting something that is useless. Like, you might as well just go home with it in your pocket. It makes no difference at that point. Take the risk, actually. Take the gamble in potentially linking back up with him, because as you saw in or on Exile Island, is that Kostas and Brian actually were vibing really well. And I think they both were on the same side of the vote this time, and who knows what alliance they're going to have going forward. I did write down all the alliances, so let me just double check. I think I wrote down all Bad's alliances because he listed all of his shit. He's in a great place.
I wrote it down too. He was like aligned with everyone.
Yeah.
I just wrote Bags has alliance with everyone. He's playing everyone.
I mean, those types of things can sometimes get you really far, as we've seen in a lot of reality shows, but then it can also really fuck you over, because then it's like,
catches up to you.
Who are you really loyal to?
Yeah.
So, and then it's also really funny, just on the topic of bads, little comment that he made at Tribal Council where he's like, I'm a predictable player. I don't really get predictability from you at all, unless that's just him trying to like subliminally like put it in everyone's minds like, oh, I'm safe, I'm predictable. You already like me. We're already in an alliance. Okay. Don't think of me at all,
Honestly, that might be what he's doing.
Yeah. He could just be, I'm bads. I'm predictable. You'll know what I'm about to do. And then people are like, oh, okay. And then, you never know what he's thinking, which is good.
Yeah. Another note that I actually had, going back to Sherry and Dakota, is really funny for the most part. Sherry and Dakota, attached at the hip, nothing bad to say, but we actually finally got a little comment from Sherry where she was just like, he's fucking lying to me. He's, telling me this, that, and the other. And then Dakota was saying, I haven't heard it as much as you, which I think is what he was trying to say was, I have not heard your name as much as you're saying I've heard your name. But the thing is Dakota, you are admitting that you heard her name.
Right.
So,
but it was his way of downplaying the threat so he could avoid the idol topic, because he told Sherry he has an idol. So she was like, I want it. And which is why you don't tell people you have an idol. And so, yeah. So I think he was trying to downplay the situation. So, but Sherry saw right through that, because she even said like he's, taking a while to respond, like he's tiptoeing around it, which just goes to show, like, Dakota, if that's how you act with your allies, no one's going to want to work with you, because if you're when you say I got your back and shit hits the fan and you're like, ooh, you know what I mean, then people are going to see through that, I think. Again, I don't know.
Yeah. I think overall, we as viewers, we obviously know much more than the players know in that time. Right. So we know that Dakota one not to be trusted. It's just a matter of people picking up on this. That would potentially be his downfall. I'm
sure people said this about us when we were, when they were watching our season, and what we should have known, could have known, but when you're in it, you have no idea. And but Dakota's an experienced player. Like, he's done multiple of these, so this isn't his first rodeo. So he kind of has that insight of the ability to play, like that whole mentality of like play like it's your second time playing. So he has that experience already. So he has the hindsight to not make rookie mistakes or just kind of get lost in the game.
Right.
Yeah. I think for the most part, I've hit all the major notes that I wanted to talk about. I had one little note where it's weird in the edit. If you look at the previews, I don't know if you watch the previews at all. Do you watch the previews?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you actually looked at the edit, they left in someone who loses the immunity challenge or the reward challenge or whatever the hell challenge it is.
Oh, what you mean, like the preview from 6 into this episode?
No, this episode into the next.
We missed that.
We must have missed it.
Well, don't go back then. Do not look at the previews again. But no, I think that was all the major and minor notes that I had. Do you guys have anything else before we move on to the Zoomie?
I mean, just that there is some like drama in the comments.
So a little thing for all the fans out there listening. I literally just got home from work and I'm hopping right on. So I have not seen any of the more recent comments, but I did see the comments earlier, mainly Sherry and Manu talking about stuff. So actually, if you guys can fill us in, what are these comments?
I think it's last episode.
It's more of episode 6 comments.
Yeah, pretty much like Manu calling Dakota out, saying that he's bullshitting in his confessionals and lying. And then it kind of also like seemed like it tied in with this episode with like Dakota in his confessional saying that like, I didn't hear Sherry's name, but Sherry being like, yeah, you're fucking lying. Like, I don't know. Well, it was interesting.
Dakota's a political science major, so those politicians know how to spin the story. I don't have any. I mean, other than the Facebook comments, the Hurricane Sherry meme was fantastic. I don't have my phone, so I can't give credit to who made that. But
I think I saw Garrett probably made that.
I don't know. So I'm sorry that I don't have your name up, but fantastic. It made me laugh. I really loved it. I don't have any other notes. No, I think that was it for me.
But yeah, I mean, everyone left in the game, I like every single one.
Yeah, you're all great.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they all bring something very interesting to the table, player or character wise.
Yeah.
So I guess on that note, we're going to move to the Zoomie. Obviously, for those who don't know, the Zoomie Award is the player of the episode. So all three of us are going to award the Zoomie Award to someone. So Collin, Michael, any of you guys want to start?
I mean, this isn't my choice, but the obvious choice, I do want to just give it to Sherry, just for like making my night and just just her theatrics. But is that too obvious?
I feel like the person voted out shouldn't get it.
I would disagree, not saying in this situation, but I would disagree in saying that a person voted out could still get it. They could have still played a great game in that episode. Would I give it to Sherry this episode? No, but also as of now, I don't know who to give the Zoomie to. I'm genuinely lost.
This is a very hard one. I
mean, it could go to Costas because of his sassy shade and harsh dig to Sherry with the cigarette comment. That was a deep. Oh yeah, that was a deep cut.
That was.
So I mean, for that sassiness and willing to go there, maybe.
Right. I think I'm gonna have to give it to Kaneda. She won immunity.
She had a great time watching Tribal.
She had a great time watching Tribal. She was relaxed. She was funny. She made me laugh. And I really like her. So I think, and she voted right?
I believe so.
Fairly certain she did.
I think she voted for Sherry. So I think between winning immunity and being on the right side of the vote, I had to give it to her.
Okay.
I'm giving it to Sherry. I don't care. I'm gonna give it to Sherry. I mean, not the most amazing gameplay, sure. Not the best gameplay, not the best choice in Tribal, but I just think I think Sherry made the episode.
Yeah, for sure.
So to me, in terms of entertainment, I'm giving it to Sherry.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to really argue with Michael's pick. Collin, I'd argue with your pick a little bit as much as I like Sherry. The vote wasn't even on her originally, and she kind of screwed her own game by being Hurricane Sherry. And it was very entertaining, and it's sad to see her to go. But yeah, I couldn't give it to her. I actually think, and I'm so torn. This is probably the first episode where I really don't even have an idea of who I wanted to give it to. But I think I might give it to Bads. And the reason why is he has positioned himself well, socially, strategically, everything, to a point where he wasn't brought up as a name. He's not even, as of what we know right now, in the top contenders to be booted. And he's sitting pretty still, you know?
That's a good point.
So I'm going to change it to Bads as of now.
I think he's a good contender, but I would still give it to Kaneda.
And I think that's fair.
He did stuff this episode.
Ooh.
What's that?
What?
Oh
no, that wasn't shade against Bads. I'm just saying Bads did well. He is in a good position. I'm very excited to see where he goes. But Kaneda actually did things this episode. She won immunity. She voted right. So.
And that's fair. If this, like I said, if this were any other episode where I was more certain on who to give it to, I might argue that, but I think that's fair. So I'm just arguing with you, Collin.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, mine's not based in strategic gameplay. Mine's based on who made me laugh. So.
All right. Then if it's that criteria, I would award her it as well.
I mean, yeah, it's easy jury member here. You made me laugh. You get my vote.
All right. Well, before we close it, any final thoughts on this episode? Any of the characters?
I would say as far as the rest of the season goes, I would say who I would love to win, maybe Erica. who I could see winning and I would also be happy, Bing. I would say they're my two front runners. If Kaneda or Charlene pull through, amazing as well.
All right.
Oh, I like Kat too, of course.
All right. Collin?
No, I don't have any comments. I mean, Michael, I agree with everything Michael just said. I think everyone's doing great. And just, I mean, obviously it's already filmed, so it's not live. So I'm just like, keep it up and have fun and respect each other. But it's already done. So I don't know. I mean, just, I'll just say going forward, if any of the players, you get voted out, just, keep it cute in the comments. You don't want to be sloppy and fighting with nobody. So just, it's a game, keep it cute. And it's a game designed to stab people in the back. So yes, it hurts, but you got to do it. So.
Wait, are you referring to someone specific?
No. I'm not,
okay.
I'm not trying to subtweet anybody. I'm just saying in general, just at the end of the day, this is a community that we're building from, James's original tribe to then expanding it to Americans to now the world. So we want to, keep the community, spread the love, because we're all in the same COVID shit show. We're all on the same flying rock through space, paying taxes for who knows why. So just be respectful, I guess.
Yeah.
So
gotcha. All right. Well, I guess on that note, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you can, take a moment to share it, please. It'd be very, very, very much appreciated. And on that note, have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Have a great night.
Bye.